Hello, this is David, and I'm going to give you a quick demonstration of Logi Info today. Let's begin by talking about Logi Info's architecture. This diagram gives us a quick overview of the concepts that matter when you're thinking of the architecture of an embedded analytic platform. What you see at the bottom, or the platform itself, highlights the different components. When it comes to the data, you'll see there how we can connect directly to your data, meaning there's no need to move or do ETL with your data and extract it into a proprietary data source. It stays where it is and we connect directly to it. You also see the kinds of content that you can create using Logi Info. You can create very compelling visualizations, self-service capabilities, predictive insights, and also processes that let you do workflow integration, all within the same product, and focused on embedding these capabilities into your existing application. Now, the place where all this happens is our authoring environments. And really, when we're talking to the developers that will be creating this highly customized content, they're going to be working in Logi Studio, our proprietary IDE. It is built so that it gives us much faster time to market, lets us quickly create content by pre-building a lot of repeatable things like dashboards, panels, actions. These are pre-coded and easily added to a new application. But it also gives the developer a lot of flexibility and a lot of control over the look and feel of the end product. We also have web authoring capabilities that make it even easier to create content. So instead of having to open up an IDE, we can navigate somewhere in the browser and from there create new charts, create new dashboards, and publish those with other users. These are the same components that we would use for a self-service use case when you want to give your end user the capability of building their own content from scratch. And then finally, we typically see our developers and the DevOps individuals interact with the Logi Info product through its APIs. So being able to embed content, being able to do single sign-on into the system, being able to pass in roles and writes, all these things happen through the API layer. Now, the most important area in this diagram is not Logi Info, it's really your application and the way that info content will integrate with it. When it comes to the embedding side, it's all about being able to place content where you need it in your app seamlessly. Security, you need to be able to easily pass the information that matters into the analytics, into Logi Info. Our single sign-on capabilities let you do that very easily. And then finally, theming. You need to be able to control the look and feel of the content that you embed so it looks like it's part of the same application. Your users don't really need to navigate to a bolted on area or navigate to a different page. Of course, all of this we're going to take a look at during the actual demonstration today. Before we go there though, I want to talk about deployment. Logi Info will give you essentially a web application that you control. You decide where it lives. If your product is deployed on premise, as in your customer's location, you're able to deploy it with the rest of your application on premise at your customer's infrastructure. If you host things for your customers, you're also able to deploy your Logi content there and manage it. You have control over how you scale it, how you make it highly available. You're in control. All right, so that was a quick overview of Logi Info's architecture. Let's take a look at what we're going to go through in the demonstration itself. This is the agenda. We're first going to quickly go through examples to highlight the flexibility of the platform. We're then going to jump into a fourth page that showcases Logi Info content embedded into an sample application. And from there, we're going to talk about security, look at web authoring, and then finally cover write-back workflow and alerts. All right, so when it comes to flexibility of the platform, you need something that's able to do exactly what you need. And a great example of that flexibility is going to be highlighted as we go through these different examples. The first one is a dashboard built for an insurance company. And you'll see how well styled it is. So it's very flat, very simple. We have all the important information across the top, like things like new business written, average new premiums, so that the end user, in this case a premium manager, can quickly get the data that they need. If we look at the visualizations in the next row, you'll see that they're simple, yet also give the user ways to configure them. So if we want to let our user choose by the bucket of time, they can do so. If you want to decide whether you want a drop down or you want a radial button, these are the kinds of elements that you can choose to add to your page. Also interactivity, things like letting a user click on one of these groups or agents and filter everything else by that. And then what you see on the third row is extensibility. If there's a snazzy D3 visualization that you want to add to your dashboard, we got you covered. You can bring in, if there's something that we don't have out of the box, you can bring in third-party libraries and add them to your Logi Info application. Now, as we move on to this next application, which is built for a manufacturing company, I just want to highlight the stark difference in the look and feel. This is a dark themed application, and it's startling how much control you have over the layout, over the themes, over the colors. Every single inch of the screen, you can decide exactly how it looks. And as I go through the actual visualizations, you'll see very custom charts like this chart that we have here to look at downtime. And you also see a combination of tables and quick trend summaries that let us know how individual faults are happening in our operation. But it's not always about giving our users a dashboard. Sure, we can build very compelling dashboards with Logi Info, but you can also build interactive applications that are custom made for an individual workload, for an individual user or type of user. And I think this is a great example of this. This application is built for a telecom company, and its operators want to be able to see in a map which areas are having outages. So I can drill into Indianapolis and see the specific cell, my cell phone cell, and then go in and look at the specific kind of KPI that I want to take a look at. So voice KPIs or instant messaging KPIs, and select the things that matter. Now, being able to have that click path, those specific visualization, that's the kind of control that Logi Info gives you. That's the kind of flexibility that you need when you're trying to make things easy for the end user. So again, that's what gives us that flexibility. It's Logi Info, and it's the power for the product manager to decide what click path, what look and feel, what style do they want for their end users. But many times the content that is created is embedded into a portal, into an application. So I also want to show you an example of that. So let's go back here and let's take a look at this application. We built the CRM to highlight the embedding capabilities of Logi Info. So everything that you see in baby blue is highlighted that way so you know what's info and what's not. And you can see how easily you could blend embedded content into an application so that the user doesn't know what's coming from the parent application and what's coming from the embedded content. And that's really key for that embedded use case. Now, there's a few things to keep into consideration for that embedding, right? So one is what we just said, being able to place content in the area of the page that we need to, like in this case in the top right corner. The second is being able to pass information back and forth from the parent application into the Logi Info side. So right now we clicked on a customer, but we're able to pass in the customer ID into the content that we embed. So it's acting as a filter. And that works both ways. I can pass information from the parent application into Logi Info and from Logi Info back into the parent application. We also want a few other things when we look at when we look at embedding. And it's one of them is so important that we highlight it as a different bullet, securing your analytics. So if we go back, I want to just highlight the top reps visualization that we have on the bottom right. You'll see how we, right now, because I'm logged in as Welker, who's the VP of sales, he gets to see everyone's sales. However, if I were to log out and log back in as, say, Amy Alberts, you'll see that we can still embed the same visualization into the page, but apply a filter so that we're only seeing the information that Amy Alberts can see. We also just saw single sign-on. So Logi Info gives us our own single sign-on API. It's called Secure Key, and it's a token-based authentication system where you can make an API call and pass in user information, roles, rights, any information that you need to then lock down your content and apply things like role filters to your applications. So again, to summarize, when you look at embedding content, you need to be able to place it exactly where you need in the page. You need to be able to white label that content, make it your own, like we saw in the first 3 applications. You also need security. You need single sign-on to be able to pass in quickly all the information that you need from the parent application into the embedded content seamlessly without the user having to log in more than once. Now, once you give your user some analytics, what we typically see is that they want more. They start asking for changes in the actual charts. Can you add one more column here? Can you build me one more, another dashboard that's focused on this perspective? And it's fantastic that we get usage that way, but we typically see a desire to enable the end user to build their own content. And that's where self-service or web authoring comes into play. So let's take a look at how we can add that capability to an application. So let me log back in as Welker. And we are in our application. Let me do that again. So we are in our application, and we're going to go into our self-service area. So we've embedded the capability into the CRM for a user to have a library of content, but more importantly, to be able to create their own content from scratch. So see here how Welker can quickly select a data set. Let's pick our sales table. Let's pick our products table. And notice I don't have to be a DBA or a sophisticated SQL writer. All the joins, all the columns are pre-selected for me. I just go and select the tables that I want, click OK, and I now have a table, a data grid for me to work with. From here, the sky's the limit. I can start doing things like grouping by year, manipulating my table. I can move columns around, hide specific columns, all from here. I can also add my own visualization. So let's go in and add a chart. And you'll see here where we can do, I want year and I want sales by year. And I'm going to break those down by category. Click OK, and we get our chart. So really quick and easy, build the chart. I can save this chart. And then finally I can go in and build my own dashboard. So you see here, we make it very easy and effortless for a user to go in and build their own content without having to put a load back into the development team and have to wait a few days or weeks for them to come back with their own custom report. All right, so we just saw web authoring interactive secure visualizations. The last thing that I want to show you is the capability of taking things beyond simple interaction with data, with charts, with dashboards, where we're gaining information, but what are we doing with the information that we get? And I think the best example of that is the workflow integration that we have in this page. So this is a sales application, a CRM, and from here a user can use the analytics to identify things that are not okay. So we see here that the Southwest territory is deep in red based on this bar chart. So we can go in and grab Utah, and I'm going to reassign it to the Southwest. When I click update, I'm actually firing a process that writes back to the database and stores that change. And we see how now the Southwest territory is more in line with the rest of my country. I still have to do some work on the Northwest, but you see here, this is tying the analytics and letting the user actually do something about what they see. This is for the developers and the product managers in the audience. This is the way that you can integrate your analytics with the rest of your system, with the rest of the parent application. Make it talk to your APIs, make it talk to your email client to send out alerts. It's the glue that holds everything together. So to summarize what we've seen today in our demonstration, we saw 3 different applications that really highlight the fact that with Logi Info, you can build whatever you want. Secondly, we looked at embedding that content into your existing application and the things that mattered, like being able to place content exactly where you need it in the page, being able to white label the content that you embed, being able to use and then single sign-on and security easily so that that content inherits the security context of the parent application. We then looked at web authoring, so self-service capabilities, how a user in the browser, without having to bug your developers, can go in and build their own content themselves and even share that with others. And then finally, we looked at workflow integration, right back, how the analytics can be tied to other parts of your application. So that's really what a quick example of Logi Info and its power to give you very custom purpose-built analytics that are embedded into your application. I hope this demonstration has been helpful, and we look forward to hearing from you.